Hello guys. Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the issue that has Port Charles completely turned upside down. The explosive developments unfolding in the current storyline have left fans on the edge of their seats, as we witness one of the most intense mob wars in General Hospital history. The conflict between Sonny Corinthos and Jen Sidwell has escalated to dangerous new heights. While shocking revelations about Britt Westburn's supposed death have sent shockwaves through the entire Port Charles community, the war begins. Sonny's strategic move against Sidwell. The current storyline has positioned Sonny Corinthos in one of his most challenging battles yet. Maurice Benard's portrayal of the Port Charles mob boss has never been more intense as Sonny faces off against his most formidable opponent to date. Jen Sidwell, played by Carlo Roeder, has proven to be a worthy adversary who has systematically worked to dismantle Sonny's empire from within. The international criminal has been operating with calculated precision, using his vast resources and connections to infiltrate Port Charles society while secretly plotting Sonny's downfall. Sonny's retaliation has been swift and decisive. The first major move in this deadly chess game involves the kidnapping of Marco Rios, Sidwell's son, portrayed by Adrian Oncondo. This strategic decision demonstrates Sonny's understanding that in the world of organized crime, family is both the greatest strength and the most vulnerable weakness. By targeting Marco, Sonny has struck at the heart of Sidwell's operation, forcing the international criminal to confront the reality that his presence in Port Charles has put his own flesh and blood in mortal danger. The kidnapping of Marco represents more than just a tactical maneuver. It's a declaration of war that will have far-reaching consequences for everyone in Port Charles. Sonny's decision to escalate the conflict in this manner shows his desperation to protect his own territory and family from Sidwell's systematic assault on his criminal empire. The mob boss has faced numerous enemies over the years, but none have posed the same level of sophisticated threat as Sidwell, who combines international resources with a deep understanding of psychological warfare. Sidwell's underestimation, a fatal mistake. The most critical error in Sidwell's campaign against Sonny lies in his fundamental misunderstanding of his opponent's capabilities and ruthlessness. While Sidwell has demonstrated considerable skill in manipulating Port Charles society and building strategic alliances, he has severely underestimated the sheer destructive power that Sonny Corinthos can unleash when his empire is threatened. This miscalculation could prove to be Sidwell's downfall, as Sonny has a decades-long track record of eliminating threats to his organization, often defeating enemies who appeared to be significantly more powerful than himself. Sonny's history in Port Charles is littered with the remnants of criminal organizations and individual threats that underestimated his resolve and tactical acumen. From his early days working for Frank Smith to his eventual rise as the undisputed king of Port Charles organized crime, Sonny has consistently demonstrated an ability to outmaneuver, outfight, and outlast his enemies. His survival instincts, combined with his willingness to use extreme violence when necessary, have made him one of the most feared figures in the criminal underworld. The fact that Sidwell has purchased Windermere Castle and established himself as a legitimate businessman in Port Charles society suggests that he views this conflict as a battle of influence and resources rather than a life-or-death struggle. This perspective reveals a dangerous blind spot in Sidwell's strategy, as he has failed to recognize that Sonny operates by a different set of rules when his family and territory are threatened. The international criminal's sophisticated approach to conquest may have worked in other locations, but Port Charles represents Sonny's home turf, where he commands loyalty and resources that extend far beyond simple criminal enterprises. The Britt Westburn mystery: death as deception. The revelation that Dr. Britt Westburn's death may have been an elaborate deception adds another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation in Port Charles. Kelly Thibault's character was believed to have died heroically while saving Jocelyn Jacks from the hook killer, succumbing to poison from the attacker's weapon in her mother's arms. The emotional impact of her death resonated throughout Port Charles, particularly affecting her mother, Dr. Liesl Obrecht, and her brief romantic partner, Jason Morgan. However, recent developments suggest that Britt's death may have been carefully orchestrated as part of a larger conspiracy. The possibility that she faked her own death raises numerous questions about her motivations and the extent of the deception involved. If Britt is indeed alive, it would mean that she allowed her loved ones to grieve her loss while she pursued some unknown agenda in secret. This level of manipulation would represent a significant departure from the character's evolution toward redemption in her final storylines. The timing of Britt's supposed resurrection coincides suspiciously with the escalating conflict between Sunny and Sidwell, suggesting that her return is connected to the larger power struggle consuming Port Charles. Callie Thibault's confirmed return to the show in July 2025 has generated significant speculation among fans about whether she will reprise her role as Britt or take on an entirely new character. The mystery surrounding her character's status has become one of the most anticipated storylines in recent General Hospital history. The Fasin connection, paternity revelations. The potential revelation that Caesar Fasin may not be Britt's biological father represents a seismic shift in the character's established history and identity. For years, Britt's parentage has been a defining aspect of her character, with her father's villainous legacy serving as both a burden and a source of inner conflict. The suggestion that Jen Sidwell might actually be her biological father would completely recontextualize her relationship with both men and provide a compelling explanation for her apparent return from the dead. If Sidwell is indeed Britt's father, it would explain why she has chosen to emerge from hiding specifically to protect him from Sunny's wrath. This familial connection would add a deeply personal dimension to the conflict between the two crime bosses, transforming what began as a territorial dispute into a family drama with life-or-death consequences. The revelation would also cast Britt's entire character arc in a new light, suggesting that her struggles with identity and belonging may have been rooted in a fundamental lie about her origins. The implications of this paternity twist extend beyond just Britt's personal story. If Sidwell is her father, it would mean that Dr. Liesl Obrecht has been keeping this secret for decades, raising questions about her motivations and the true nature of her relationship with both Fasin and Sidwell. This revelation could also explain Sidwell's seemingly personal vendetta against Sunny, as he may view the conflict as a way to establish his dominance while protecting his daughter from the violent world she has become entangled in. Jason's shock, the confrontation to come. Jason Morgan's reaction to Britt's apparent resurrection promises to be one of the most emotionally charged storylines in the upcoming episodes. Steve Burton's portrayal of the stoic enforcer has rarely shown such vulnerability as when dealing with Britt's death, and her sudden return will force him to confront feelings he thought he had buried. The shock of discovering that someone he cared about has been alive while he grieved her loss will likely trigger a complex mix of relief, anger, and betrayal. The relationship between Jason and Britt represented one of the most compelling romantic pairings in recent General Hospital history, with their connection developing during a time when both characters were facing their own mortality. Jason's brain injury and memory issues coincided with Britt's diagnosis of Huntington's disease, creating a bond forged in shared vulnerability and acceptance of their limitations. Their relationship offered viewers a glimpse of Jason's capacity for tenderness and emotional depth beyond his role as Sunny's enforcer. Jason's confrontation with Britt will likely serve as a catalyst for examining the truth behind her disappearance and the larger conspiracy involving Sidwell. As someone who has spent years investigating threats to Sunny's organization, Jason possesses the skills and resources necessary to uncover the deception that has kept Britt hidden. His personal investment in the situation will drive him to pursue the truth relentlessly, regardless of the emotional cost or the danger it may pose to his own safety. The ripple effects, Port Charles in crisis. The convergence of these storylines has created a perfect storm of conflict that threatens to engulf all of Port Charles in violence and chaos. The war between Sunny and Sidwell has already claimed casualties, with the bombing of Charlie's pub serving as a stark reminder of the collateral damage that innocent people suffer when criminal organizations clash. The involvement of Marco, a lawyer who has been building relationships within the Port Charles legal community, demonstrates how the conflict has begun to blur the lines between the criminal underworld and legitimate society. The revelation of Britt's survival adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Her return will likely trigger a cascade of revelations about other characters who may have been deceiving their loved ones or working toward hidden agendas. The interconnected nature of Port Charles relationships means that any major revelation about one character inevitably affects dozens of others, creating a web of consequences that will play out over months of storylines. The emotional toll on the characters involved cannot be overstated. Liesl Obrecht's grief over her daughter's death, Lucas Jones's growing feelings for Marco, and the various romantic entanglements throughout Port Charles will all be affected by these revelations. The writers have carefully constructed a narrative that forces characters to confront their deepest fears and desires while navigating the external threat posed by the mob war. The strategic implications: chess moves in a deadly game. The kidnapping of Marco represents just the opening gambit in what promises to be an extended campaign of psychological and physical warfare between Sonny and Sidwell. Each man brings unique advantages to the conflict. With Sonny's intimate knowledge of Port Charles and established network of allies facing off against Sidwell's international connections and seemingly unlimited financial resources, the strategic implications of each move will reverberate throughout the criminal underworld and into the legitimate business community. Sonny's decision to target Marco specifically demonstrates his understanding of Sidwell's psychological profile and vulnerabilities. By threatening the one person Sidwell truly cares about, Sonny has forced his opponent to react emotionally rather than strategically, potentially creating openings for further attacks. However, this escalation also puts Sonny's own family at risk, as Sidwell will likely respond by targeting Dante, Christina, Michael, and the other members of the Corinthos clan. The involvement of Britt in this conflict adds an unpredictable element that both crime bosses must now account for in their planning. Her medical expertise, combined with her intimate knowledge of both the criminal underworld and legitimate society, makes her a valuable asset to whichever side can secure her loyalty. Her personal connections to various Port Charles residents could provide crucial intelligence or serve as leverage in the ongoing war. The moral complexity, heroes and villains in shades of gray. One of the most compelling aspects of this storyline is the moral ambiguity that surrounds each character's actions and motivations. Sonny, despite his criminal activities, is fighting to protect his family and territory from an outside threat. His methods may be brutal, but his goals are fundamentally defensive in nature. Sidwell, while clearly antagonistic, may be motivated by a desire to protect his own son and establish a legitimate business empire that could provide a better future for his family. Britt's decision to fake her death, if confirmed, represents perhaps the most morally complex action in the entire storyline. Her deception has caused tremendous pain to her loved ones, particularly her mother and Jason, who grieved her loss deeply. However, if her actions were motivated by a desire to protect others from danger or to accomplish some greater good, her moral calculus becomes more complicated. The revelation of her true parentage could provide context for her choices that transforms her from a selfish manipulator into a tragic figure caught between competing loyalties. The story also explores themes of identity and belonging that resonate beyond the specific plot points. Britt's struggle with her parentage mirrors the broader question of how our origins shape our destiny and whether we can escape the sins of our fathers. Marco's position as the son of a criminal who has chosen to pursue a legitimate career as a lawyer represents another variation on this theme, as does the ongoing question of whether Sonny's children can escape the violence that has defined their father's life. The future implications, what lies ahead? The resolution of these storylines will have lasting implications for the entire General Hospital universe. The outcome of the war between Sonny and Sidwell will determine the power structure of Port Charles' organized crime for years to come. If Sonny emerges victorious, it will reinforce his position as the undisputed king of the criminal underworld while potentially opening new storylines involving his efforts to eliminate the remaining threats to his empire. If Sidwell succeeds in his campaign, it will fundamentally alter the landscape of Port Charles and create new dynamics between the established families and the criminal element. Britt's return, assuming she is indeed alive, will require extensive explanation and character development to justify her actions and reintegrate her into the Port Charles community. Her relationships with Jason, her mother, and other characters will need to be rebuilt from the ground up, as the trust that was broken by her deception will not be easily restored. The revelation of her true parentage will create new family dynamics and potentially introduce additional characters connected to Sidwell's international criminal network. The psychological impact on the characters involved will continue to resonate long after the immediate crisis has passed. Jason's faith in his ability to protect the people he cares about will be shaken by his failure to prevent Britt's supposed death and his inability to detect her deception. Sonny's confidence in his intelligence network will be questioned, as will his ability to anticipate and counter sophisticated threats like Sidwell. The entire Port Charles community will be forced to confront the reality that their seemingly stable world can be turned upside down by forces beyond their control. Conclusion: the stakes have never been higher. The convergence of these storylines represents a defining moment in General Hospital's ongoing narrative, with the potential to reshape the fundamental power dynamics and relationships that have defined the show for years. The war between Sonny and Sidwell has escalated beyond a simple territorial dispute into a conflict that threatens to consume everything and everyone in its path. The mystery surrounding Britt's survival and true parentage adds layers of personal drama and emotional complexity that will resonate with viewers long after the immediate crisis has passed. As these storylines continue to unfold, viewers can expect shocking revelations, devastating betrayals, and emotional confrontations that will test the bonds between characters and challenge their fundamental beliefs about loyalty, family, and survival. The writers have constructed a narrative that operates on multiple levels simultaneously, combining the high-stakes action of a criminal war with the intimate character drama that has made General Hospital a beloved institution in daytime television. The ultimate resolution of these conflicts will determine not only the fate of the individual characters involved but also the future direction of the entire series. With so many lives hanging in the balance and so many secrets yet to be revealed, the coming episodes promise to deliver the kind of dramatic storytelling that has made General Hospital one of television's longest-running and most successful soap operas. The stakes have never been higher, and the consequences of failure have never been more devastating for the residents of Port Charles.